Hello and welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us today.
It really is. And as always, on Friday, we're looking at a very interesting book today.
We are indeed. Today we're getting into Ayn Rand's, well, truly massive novel, Atlas Shrugged.
A big one.
And, everyone knows that title, but what's really fascinating is its original working title, The Strike,
That's right.
which sells you quite a bit, doesn't it? Right from the very beginning.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And if you look into Rand's personal journals, which is quite insightful, you see her philosophy of art, her writing philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
She really believed a novel, like a sculpture or a symphony even, it should be this self-sufficient universe. It doesn't need, explanations or anything outside itself.
Okay, so standalone.
Exactly. She actually wrote her novels, this one included, primarily for herself. It was her method for sort of clarifying her own thoughts.
Huh.
If readers enjoyed it, well, that was secondary. A fortunate consequence, as she saw it. It was really about organizing her own mind first.
That's a really interesting way to approach writing something so huge and influential. So given that focus on her own clarity, what was the central mission then? The main argument she was building in Atlas Shrugged?
Well, it's definitely about that relationship between the creators, the prime movers, she called them.
The innovators, the producers.
Yes, and those who, in her view, prey on them, unlike her earlier book, The Fountainhead, which, really glorified the individual creator.
Right, Howard Rourke.
Atlas Shrugged has maybe a starker goal. It's trying to show how desperately the world needs these creators and, well, how badly it treats them.
Okay.
The core premise is almost fantastical.
Right.
Like, what if they just stopped? What if they went on strike? The whole story is about a world trying to function when its heart, its engine, has walked out.
A world trying to survive without its heart. That's powerful. And this decline, this failing heart, we see it through key characters. Let's talk about Dagny Taggart first. She runs a railroad. She's incredibly competent. But Rand gives her a critical flaw.
Yes, Dagny. Rand describes her as having this excessive optimism and self-confidence, which, Rand suggests, is actually pretty common among these individualist creator types.
Okay, so what's the downside of that optimism?
Her flaw, really, is failing to understand that reason is not automatic. That's a key Rand idea. Dagny thinks people are fundamentally better than they often are.
Yeah.
She believes her talent, her energy, her reason can just move the world, fix the railroad. She thinks if she just works harder, shows them the logical way, they'll get it.
But they don't.
No, because Rand's point is that people who've chosen to abandon reason, well, you can't win them over with reason. Dagny's benevolent view of the universe is admirable, maybe, but it doesn't account for individual free will, the choice to be irrational or even evil.
That's a really crucial point in understanding the book's conflicts, isn't it? How virtue, like optimism, can become a weakness if it blinds you.
Exactly. It sets up so much of the tragedy.
So while Dagny's grappling with this, we meet another major creator figure, Hank Rearden. Tell us about him and his invention.
Hank Rearden. He's this brilliant industrialist, and he invents Rearden metal. And this isn't just, a slightly better alloy. It's revolutionary.
I also.
It's cheaper than steel, it's lighter, and it's twice as safe. The potential is just enormous. Rand describes things like fences lasting 200 years, cheap cutlery, indestructible ships, super light planes, powerful engines. Right.
For
For Dagny especially, this metal becomes a symbol of creation, of possibility, standing against all the decay she sees.
But like all progress in this world, it's immediately under attack. And the way Rand describes the attacks is quite chilling. It's not direct.
No, it's insidious. You have these groups like the National Council of Metal Industries, the State Science Institute. They release reports.
Okay.
But the reports don't actually condemn the metal. They use this vague, fear-mongering language, things like possibility of sudden fracture or some molecular reaction, not entirely to be dismissed.
So nothing concrete.
Precisely. It makes it impossible for Rearden to defend himself. How do you refute a possibility, an insinuation? There are no actual claims, just doubt. It's a perfect example of undermining through fear and irrationality, not evidence.
It's very effective in a terrifying way. And then you have the opposite of Rearden and Dagny, her brother, James Taggart. He runs the railroad, technically.
Runs it into the ground, maybe.
Yeah.
James Taggart is portrayed as, well, a do-nothing. He's obsessed with politics, with schmoozing, with control. Not competence, just control.
And he seems to actively work against his sister, doesn't he?
Constantly. He's always trying to undermine or destroy what Dagny and Reardon are building. He seems driven by this resentment of competence, almost. He embodies this idea that nothing is important, which is the polar opposite of the creator's drive. He's just destructive.
So how does this incompetence, this anti-creation mindset become so dominant? The book points to the government, to bureaucrats like Wesley Mooch and Professor Floyd Ferris.
Right. They represent that pervasive government control and, frankly, bureaucratic idiocy. Take Regulation 10289.
Ah, yes, the famous one.
Infamous? Maybe. It freezes everything. Wages, prices, profits, but crucially, not taxes. And it promises completely contradictory things.
Like what?
Oh, it'll protect the rich and help the poor. It'll lower prices and raise wages. It's pure nonsense, showing how irrational the system has become.
And it even impacts ideas, right? Books.
Yes, chillingly. It basically classifies spiritual matters ideas as just material goods, like the paper and ink. So the government can regulate them, control them, effectively censor them out of existence by controlling the materials.
Wow. So amidst all this decay, this irrationality, this control, this phrase starts popping up everywhere.
Who is John Galt?
Exactly. It becomes this expression of just helplessness.
Yeah.
Despair.
Yeah, like what can you do? Or who knows what's going on anymore?
Yeah.
It perfectly sets the stage for what starts happening next.
Which is the disappearance of the competent people. The strike.
Yes, the strike isn't a picket line. It's a withdrawal, a vanishing act. You see Ellis Wyatt, the oil guy, incredibly innovative, poof, gone. His fields just sit there, decaying.
White Sanders, another industrialist, just withdraws. Roger Marsh swore he'd never quit, but he disappears too. No explanation. Ted Nielsen, trying to make engines, can't get tools because he invested with, well, presumably Galt.
And the failures pile up.
You see Jed Starnes' motor company, once great, collapse under incompetent management. Shows how fast things fall apart without the creators. But some don't just vanish. Like Ken Daniger, the coal magnate.
What does he do?
He also left the system, but we find out he's secretly supplying coal to Reardon. So some are still working, but covertly refusing to participate openly in the destructive system.
And then there's Francisco d'Anconia. He seems like just a rich playboy throwing away his copper empire. But there's a secret there, isn't there?
A huge secret.
Yeah.
Francisco, who's brilliant, is not just squandering his fortune, he's deliberately, systematically destroying d'Anconia copper.
Destroying it? Why? To prevent it from being used by the looters, by the collapsing system. He reviews he was actually the first one to go on strike years ago. It's this incredible long-game act of principle, sacrificing his own creation to starve the parasites.
That's quite extreme dedication.
Yeah.
And then there's another figure operating outside the system, Ragnar Denexjold, the pirate.
Right. Ragnar the pirate.
Yeah.
He's feared by the establishment because he raids their ships, specifically the government aid ships, taking back what he considers stolen wealth.
But admired by the producers.
In a way, yes. His very existence, operating freely in American waters, just highlights the total breakdown of order. The government is powerless. He's like this symbol of justice, albeit outside the law, for the creators.
All this decline, the incompetence, the strikes, it culminates in this absolutely horrific event. The Comet Train disaster. Can you describe what happens? It really shows the consequences.
Oh, it's brutal. The Comet is Taggart Transcontinental's luxury train, their pride. But because of fuel shortages and regulations, they're forced to use an old coal-fired steam engine.
Instead of their modern ones.
Right. So this train goes into a long tunnel, not designed for that much smoke. People start asphyxiating, someone pulls the emergency brake, and then it collides with an unscheduled military train that's carrying explosives. Massive explosion. The tunnel collapses. It's just sheer horror. A direct result of layered incompetence, irrational rules, and ultimately a failure of reason leading to mass death.
And didn't even the switchman play a part?
Yes, that's maybe the most chilling detail. The switchman knows he should route the military train differently, but he deliberately throws the wrong switch, choosing to comply with the flawed orders, the destructive system, rather than risk-defying it. Compliance over safety, over reason.
That disaster just seems to capture the whole state of the world Rand is painting. Widespread shortages, decay.
Absolutely. You have shortages of basic things, light bulbs, tools, you name it. But at the same time, the government is pouring money into completely nonsensical projects like a people's opera or useless scientific boondoggles.
And the intellectual climate mirrors this.
Completely. You have figures like Professor Robert Stadler, a formerly great scientist, saying things like, "Too many people think too much," and "The mind is a myth." You have mystics gaining influence, blaming reason itself for society's problems. Thinking becomes the enemy.
And into this vacuum stepped someone like Cuffy Miggs.
Right, Cuffy Miggs,
Hmm.
described as immune to thought, carries a pistol and a rabbit's foot for luck. He just takes over a major scientific project, Project X, renames it Miggsville. He's pure, unthinking, brute power-grabbing control.
So after the combat disaster, Dagny is desperate. Her journey leads her somewhere completely different.
Yes, she eventually crashes her plane and finds herself in Galt's Gulch. This hidden valley, they call it Atlantis, or the Isle of the Blessed.
Hidden how?
It's protected by some kind of technology, a ray screen that distorts vision, scrambles engines. Only those with the right knowledge, the right courage can get through. It's the complete opposite of the world outside.
So what is this place? Who's there?
It's where the strikers have gone, the heroic spirits, the creators, the thinkers. They're living there, happily, productively working for themselves. Ellis Wyatt is there, getting oil from shale.
Successfully.
Very successfully. And he tells Dagny something like, there's no such thing as a degrading job, only degrading men who don't want to do them. It's a place built entirely on competence and self-respect, the world's real heart.
And Dagny starts seeing familiar faces?
Yes, these incredible reunions. She finds Ellis Wyatt. She meets Ragnar Danaskjold, the pirate, living there as a respected philosopher-engineer. She finally understands they didn't just disappear randomly. It was all coordinated. It was John Galt's strike.
So what's the philosophy underpinning the Gulch? It's more than just a hideout.
Oh, much more. It's a society built on radical self-reliance. They explicitly reject altruism, collectivism. It's all about individual achievement, rational self-interest, and finding joy in your work.
Principled self-interest.
Exactly. As Ellis Wyatt says, showing Dagny his oil wells, it's all based on my own. And there's this poignant moment where Reardon and Dagny realize their love for their work and for each other, this profound value they share. It's treated like a guilty secret in the outside world.
But not in the Gulch.
In the Gulch, it's celebrated. It's the norm. That shared passion for creation is the highest value.
You mentioned Ragnar reading Aristotle in the Gulch. The law of identity. A is A. Why include that detail?
It's a deep philosophical anchor. The law of identity, that things are what they are, that contradictions can't exist in reality, is the bedrock of logic and reason.
And the outside world is denying that.
Completely. With its contradictory regulations, its denial of cause and effect. The Gulch, by contrast, is founded on that absolute principle. Reality is objective, reason works, A is A. It shows their strike isn't just economic, it's philosophical. It's a strike for reality itself.
Okay, so the story builds towards John Galt finally revealing himself. He makes a public appearance, takes over the airwaves. We don't have his whole speech here, but we see the reaction of the looters.
Right. And it's pathetic, really. Wesley Mooch comes to Galt offering these completely nonsensical compromises for a new regime. Things like, let's combine free competition with planned economy.
Total contradiction.
Utterly. Let's protect the rich and give more to the poor. It shows they've learned nothing, they're intellectually bankrupt. The powerful leaders just look pale, indifferent, trapped.
But what about the ordinary people watching?
That's the tragic part. Some in the audience look at Galt with this desperate pleading, this tragic longing. They dimly recognize the truth, the possibility he represents, but they can't act. They're too broken, too complicit, too afraid. It just shows the vast gulf that's opened up and the despair of those who see the light but won't or can't move towards it.
It really forces you, the reader, to think about these stark contrasts Rand draws. Creation versus destruction, competence versus incompetence, reason versus denial. It raises some big questions about value, about what keeps society going.
It really does. The book pushes you to consider if the fundamental conflict isn't just good versus evil, but maybe competence versus incompetence, reason versus unreason, and it poses that provocative question. What happens if the people who actually make survival possible just opt out?
Yeah, can a society survive if it punishes the very qualities it needs most? It leaves you thinking about what happens when merit, when competence is actively undermined.
What does that mean for us, for any society, if we fail to recognize and maybe even protect those who create value through reason and effort? That's the unsettling thought Rand leaves you with.
Thank you for your attention. You can subscribe our podcast if you like it.
See you next time.